Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 219 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. It's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week, starting with the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard. What's up, Richard?
Hey Seth, what's going on?
Not much. Ready to talk some more War of the Spark spoilers. It's an exciting set, an exciting time. I love spoiler season. But before we get into that, we also have Krim, Magic Mythic Invitational and now Pro Tour competitor. Krim, how's it going today, Krim?
It's going well. Thank you for that very, very nice intro.
You're gonna play Esper, aren't you? You're gonna go to this modern Pro Tour with the busted mulligan rule, where everyone's trying to kill you on turn 2 with broken mulligan-enabled combos, and you're gonna play Esper Control, aren't you?
I call it fair magic. I call it fair magic, first off. And second off, it's you know what? Maybe I won't. But
I don't think you're fooling anyone, Krim. You're not fooling anyone.
Yeah, I most likely am.
Anyway, our topics for today, mostly War of the Spark spoilers. We have a bunch of new cards since last week, some really cool stuff, so we want to talk about all that. We also have some weird or kind of unique Netflix/MTG news that kind of came out over the weekend that we wanted to talk about. And then, of course, we want to get to your fish mail to wrap things up today. So anyway, let's start with the fun stuff. Let's start with War of the Spark spoilers. And Richard, why don't you lead us through some more of the Spark cards?
All right, hot off the press this morning, we got a mythic, legendary, human mutant, Rolex. I'm going to call him Rolex Forever now. Rolex Apex Hybrid. 2 green, blue. So 5 CMC. 4/5. Legendary creature, human mutant. Flying. Trample. When Rolesk enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. When Rolesk dies, proliferate, then proliferate again.
I don't know what to think about this one. Like, I see it's got a lot of text on it. It has fairly good stats, especially if you consider the 2 +1/+1 counters coming down on something else. But then at the same time, it's like smaller than Doom Whisperer and smaller than Lyra and probably not as busted as Hydroid Crossus. So I'm really on the fence about where this card fits in standard. Like, it seems like maybe it can be good enough in the right deck, especially if you can abuse the double proliferate, or maybe play like Tisa Karlov and just like proliferate 4 times and ultimate all your Planeswalkers. That sounds really fun. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this card fits in standard. What do you guys think on this one?
You definitely need to use the proliferate. Like, I think this is bad as like a self-contained finisher or something. It's not just like powerful in a vacuum like Hydroid Graces. So you somehow need to take advantage of this proliferate. I don't know. Can you like make some kind of token deck with counters or something? And then when this dies, proliferate out to your Planeswalkers? Like, I just don't know what to do. Like, this thing is not big enough. It's not scary enough. It needs support. So it has to be some kind of synergy combo deck, I think.
I mean, I just don't think it, like, maybe not right now. I think that it could try to find something maybe after like rotation, who knows. But, the thing here is right now, like when there is the nice fact that you can, when it dies, it proliferates and then proliferates again. But the 2/1/1 counters going on to another threat, it's kind of, if you have another threat and it isn't like blown up when you try to target it or something, it's kind of cool, right? Like you could potentially have something that replaces itself.
What if you don't have another threat? It does absolutely nothing.
It's just the worst thing ever. If you don't
like
have
you're top decking, you play this, it does nothing. They Doomblade it still does nothing because you have no other permanents. And you're like, wow, could have been a Hydroid Crassus.
At the same time, though, there are some cards we see from War of the Spark that work well. Like the new Ajani, the -2 puts a counter on each of your creatures and a loyalty counter on each of your Planeswalkers. So maybe some sort of like Bant deck with Ajani. A couple of the random uncommon Planeswalkers like Jing Youngyu puts counters on things. He cares about counters. Arlen kinda does in her own wolfy way. So maybe you can like have a deck that puts counters on your creatures, and then this also like resets or helps power up your planeswalkers. What do you think about just like Sultai? Well, the normal Sultai deck, is there any argument to playing any number of these? Like, you do have Wild Growth Walker, Branch Walker, Jade Light Ranger. You have a lot of countery stuff, maybe some planeswalkers, some Veraskas or Vivians. Can you play a copy or two of this in like Sultai mid-range, or is it just not good enough?
It just doesn't feel that good though, right? I mean, I'd rather just have Vivian. Like, cause like, I don't know, like it hits the 5 slot, and that's kind of interesting. What are you getting out of this 5-drop? And is it worth it? And I don't feel like it is. I feel like there's gotta be, like, I would just play Doom Whisperer over this in Sultai.
Yeah. Also, if it gets like Vraska contempted, you don't proliferate. So like, I don't know. I was like so conditional. So I think the biggest draw is if uncommon planeswalkers rule standard. This gives you a way to basically +2 all of your uncommon planeswalkers. So
Like Tybalt.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Just wanted to clarify.
Keep that Tybalt going. Richard, as our resident filthy casual, what about Commander? It is a legend.
So bad.
There's a lot of. Is it so bad? I mean,
You
there's
can't
a lot
proliferate. You go to the command zone, right? So you need to dump it into your graveyard to proliferate. It should have been when it leaves the battlefield, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, now I have a legendary human mutant. What X-Men themed deck can I build now? But now you're like, its abilities literally do nothing, right? So
I think it's probably busted if you can blink it. Like, that probably breaks something, I would assume.
I mean, yeah, blinking it and then proliferating twice. Wait, doesn't Venser just like super duper like
The Venser would be sweet.
Venser would go nuts with that ability.
What about in the 99? Like, Atraxa cares about similar stuff. Variel, Azuri, Claw of Progress. Do you think this is it Commander playable not as your Commander?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of dirtily, but it's just too proliferates. It's not like game breaking, right? It's just like incremental advantage, which I don't know. I'm not too excited about playing this. How about that? Like, maybe you could slot it in, but it's not like the card I take home and I'm like, I'm going to build a deck around it, whether it be the 99 or the Commander. Yeah. You notice I started off this conversation talking about Standard. It should tell you how exciting I am. I was about this card here. Next up, here's a card I am excited about. We have Massacre Girl. 3 black, 4/4, legendary creature, human assassin. Menace. When Massacre Girl enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn.
I think this card's really good.
I think I've seen this before. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Okay. Is it good in Standard or is it good in Commander? I think it's nuts in Commander because the chances of you chaining this off all the way to kill, like, I don't know, some indestructible 11/11 is probably pretty good. In Standard, if there are 2/2s on the battlefield and you play this, you're like, well, that's sad. I have a 5-mana 4/4 menace. Worse than our previous Rolex, right? So do you think it's playable in Standard?
I could see it getting played. I mean, how often are you thinking about it when you're playing your creatures? Like, at least for the first couple of weeks, right? Like, all right, I'm going to play a 1/1. I'm going to play some X2 and then an X3. And I'm not really thinking about like, oh, I better play around like getting chained off by Massacre Girl. But, you know, that, like, I think for the first couple of weeks, you could really dunk on people with this card.
I think it is Standard playable. It is a little high variance matchup wise. I guess like a 4/4 menace for 5 is not absolutely horrible. I think the problem in Standard is it's either insane, like against any of the white aggro decks or even the red aggro decks or like Selesnya tokens, Gruul midrange. This is basically just going to be a Wrath most of the time that leaves behind a body. The problem is, in Standard, like, those decks are popular, but then also Esper Control, Temur Reclamation, Simic Reclamation. So I feel like in those matchups, its floor is pretty low. Like, you wouldn't play a 4/4 Menace for 5, and in like half of the top tier matchups, it's going to be a 4/4 Menace for 5. But I guess at the same time, you're normal Wraths are not good against those matchups either. Like, if you're playing Kaya's Wrath, you're not happy when you draw it against Esper or any of the Reclamation style decks, so maybe it's better than that in some sets. I don't know. I think this card is going to be a Wrath more often than people think. Like, I think the way it double triggers, like if you hit 2 X1s, you get multiple triggers out of it to jump up to like hitting 3 drops. I think against a lot of creature decks, you're going to be able to, like Krim said, especially right away. Maybe people start to play around it eventually, but I think you're going to Wrath the board more often than you think with this card.
Hot take. I think Chain Roller's better. I think,
like, you know, if 3 mana like first strike.
Well, if you Chain Roller someone, you pretty much have won the game, right? Like, if your Chain Roller does something useful, and then other times it does nothing, but it's a 3/3 first strike. I think Massacre Girl is kind of in the same spot. Like, if you kill anything, it's good. The dream scenario where you like chain reaction and kill the entire board, I guess it could happen, but I'm guessing that's kind of like the limited auto win. Like, that will happen very frequently in limited, but in standard, like, I don't know, either you kill their 1/1s and they're pretty much dead anyway, or you somehow chain up to kill their, you know, the dream is to kill a 2/1 dork, kill a night token from Benalia, and then work your way all the way up to Venerated Loxodon and say, I got you. But, you know, like, sure, but, you know, a Chain Roller early on kind of does the same thing. So I think it's strong, but I don't think, you know, it's that strong. I think people are overestimating like the one-sided Wrath you, because you know what? You're going to Wrath yourself as well, right? So it's basically just a creature that Wraths. Okay, if you have like a Galta, you might survive, right? But if you're Wrathing their board.
But the thing is, like, it's like, now you give black access to a Chain Whirler, which is why it's also pretty sweet. Cause like before, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna add a triple red card to some of my black decks here, right? Outside of like Rakdos and stuff like that. Maybe they can play it, but like I'm thinking like there's definitely some applications with this card where you can like, I'm just thinking about it now with the ETB on the stack, you know, or I'll like Shiv and Fire one of your things to put put it at like 3 damage just to get the perfect 1, 2, 3 up the ladder. And it's just a fun card more than anything else. But I think in best of one specifically, this card will be a lot of fun in best of one.
Yeah. And you could also help out Massacre Girl, right? You could Massacre Girl and then cast down.
Yeah.
To like start the reaction off, right? So it doesn't just need to be Massacre Girl, killing everything.
Yeah.
That's a lot of mana, though.
I mean,
like, if you got 7 mana hanging out.
No, let's say you have a Planeswalker, right? You Massacre Girl and then you minus your Planeswalker or something. I don't know. So, do we like Massacre Girl? Are we jamming Massacre Girl? Or are we just gonna?
I like Massacre Girl a lot. I'm gonna get I like getting people. So even if it's bad, I'm gonna try.
I think I would consider this in my my modern Esper deck for the Pro Tour. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. But it would be funny. But I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna play this in everything for up front. Like when it comes out, I'm gonna try it in a few decks and then see how it goes.
All right. Next up, we have Dread Hoard Butcher, black and a red. So 2 CMC, zombie warrior, 1/1. Haste. When Dread Hoard Butcher deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, put a +1/+1 counter on Dread Hoard Butcher. When Dread Hoard Butcher dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target.
I love this card.
This card is one of my favorite cards from the set. It's so controversial. Either people think this is the most broken card in the set or one of the best cards in the set, or that it's going to be absolutely unplayable. And there's not much middle ground as far as people's opinions on this card. I think it's probably going to be pretty good, especially when you win the die roll. It's like Slith Firewalker, I think, from Mirrodin, which was like a pretty playable card 15 years ago. It's very similar to that. But if you get to play first and you get to get in the attack on turn 2 and start growing this, it's pretty easy for it to snowball into just like a massive creature. And if your opponent kills it, you get value out of it then too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more so just excited because it's a zombie and I can play Jund zombies. But no, like legitimately, the fact that it's coming down, it's got haste and it deals 1 damage to a player or planeswalker. The fact that you can hit a planeswalker with it and still give it the 1/1 is something that I really like. And especially with how many planeswalkers are running around in this set, and like what that means for all, like just planeswalkers in general. So, that's pretty sweet. I just like that. And when it dies, dealing the damage anywhere, huge fan of that. So I'm a fan of this card.
Yeah. I started playing Magic again when Stromkirk Noble was a thing.
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It gets out of control fast. If it dies, it pings. On the play, it's especially good because you can either block your dork, then, with your mana dork, I guess that's fine. Otherwise, this thing gets out of control. And then, of course, you guys have seen the turn 3 kill Magical Christmas Land, which is not even that magical. This is actually the most legitimate turn 3 kill I've seen in Standard that doesn't involve bad cards. So it's basically turn 1, do nothing. Turn 2, Dread Horde Butcher, get in. Turn 3, what's the thing? Collision Colossus to pump it, hit him, and then thud.
That does add up to more than 20 points of damage.
And it has trample, right? So it has trample. So if they have blockers, they're still dead. 2 of these 3 cards are good. We played, if Dread Horde Butcher is a decent card, Collision Colossus is a good card on its own. Thud, maybe a little questionable, but it's only 3 cards and it's a turn 3 kill, right? And you definitely need to hold up removal, because you will probably get through blockers. So I actually think this is a pretty legitimate thing, and people will try this and someone will die to this on camera.
That will be super sweet. It's a little sad that you got to play Thud. Thud is kind of like very medium as far as how good it actually is, but killing people on turn 3 in Standard is sweet. I wonder if this could show up in Modern. Like in Modern, you have like Become Immense and some really powerful pump spells. Like, could you just play this in like a Jund Death Shadow deck and get in there and like pump it with Become Immense and kill people?
What does it have to do with Dread Horde Butcher, though? You can Become Immense anything. In fact, I'd rather Become Immense Inkmoth Nexus.
But Thud. But then you could Thud and get him.
But then you'd be playing Thud in Modern.
Yeah, but even if you don't Thud, right, you've dealt your opponent like a ton of damage, and this thing is now a 3/3, and when it dies, it does additional 3 damage, right? And then if you want to get spicy, you could like duress on turn 1 or something to actually make sure this happens. So I don't know. I think there will be a deck like this. Remember when we had Teamer Battle Rage in Standard?
Oh yeah,
and that mono red deck, and you just be like, yeah, out of nowhere, I killed, I 20'd you, right? Like, I think this could be one of those
I think
things.
it'll be good. I don't know if the Thud part, I don't know if that will be like where it ends up as far as the competitive decks, but I do think Dread Horde Butcher, even without the 3-card combo, is a very strong card.
It's only 5 mana, so you could like journal around, do nothing, and then your opponent taps out, and on turn 8, you just run in with the Dread Horde Butcher, Collision Colossus, and thud them out of the game. Right? That could be a thing.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Tulsa Mer Friend to Wolves. 2 green, white. Legendary creature, Elf Scout, 3/3. When Tulsa Mer enters the battlefield, create Voya, I don't even know how to say that. Friend to Elves, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf creature token. When a wolf enters the battlefield, under your control, you gain 3 life. That creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control.
This card also feels really good.
This should be mythic.
It reminds me of not quite as good, but of Huntmaster of the Fells a little bit. It's got a little bit of Huntmaster going on in it. It seems just like such a great stabilization card. Similar to like Trostani, where if you're playing against any sort of aggro deck and you can get to this and slam it on like turn 4 or 5, you gain 3 life, you kill one of their creatures with the wolf, and have 2 3/3s left over on the battlefield. And if you ever make another wolf somehow, which probably not going to happen too much in Standard, you get to gain more life and fight more things. Feels like a card that could be pretty good in like random mid-range versus aggro matchups in Standard.
Yeah, this is a card I definitely want at the 5-drop. It does a lot. It does a lot. So I really, really, really like this card. It's something that's super powerful, and for 5, this does everything I want it to do, right? It comes down, it gains me life, gives me another body, helps remove something as mentioned. This card is sweet. And the art's cool.
It's like a 4/1 or something, right? You get 2 bodies, you get to gain life, and you get to fight something. Like, it's crazy. And then if for whatever reason you have more wolves, this like keeps giving, right? So I wonder if there'll be like some incidental like wolf or something. Like, oh, can you imagine? What's the 2 mana 3/3 wolf? Watch Wolf?
Yeah.
Is it a wolf?
The one that was
Watchwolf
the Celestia
Is
one?
Watchwolf a wolf?
The
I mean,
Celestia
it says
thing.
wolf in the name. It's gotta be.
Yeah, it is a wolf, right? Like, can you imagine if like there's a watch wolf in the set or something, and you can make a Celestia beater deck and you curve out like this? Like, oh,
You can curve into Arlen and just like make wolves every turn.
yeah. I think this is really good. And
There's also Arlen's wolf.
Ooh, yeah, technically. That technically does exist. The one thing I dislike is it's in weird wolf colors for commander. This seems like a super sweet wolf tribal commander for commander, but wolves traditionally, like Immerwolf and some of those wolves are more like in green-red, so it's a little awkward that you can't play any of the red wolves in your commander deck. That's if I had one complaint, like drop that green mana, add in a red mana, so it's like a Naya legend, then it would also be really sweet for commander.
Is that the only red wolf? I can't think of any. Most of the wolves are green, and most of the wolves are like tokens.
All right. I mean, I think like wolves from Innistrad, like, well, I guess a lot of them were werewolves as well. Like Huntmaster is technically not a wolf. Pyre, Heart Wolf. Don't want to forget that. Immerwolf.
Yeah.
Wolf of Devil's Breach.
The only one
remember?
you need, the only one you need is Tundra
Arlen.
wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really good. Really good in Commander too. And I think a lot of people will see this and like Wolf Tribal, whatever, but I'm like, no, man, just think of this as like Weird Hunt Master or something for Standard. It's still pretty good just as like a value card. And if you randomly get Wolves, great. If you don't, you're still good. Next up, we have a land, Mobilized District. It's a rare land. You can tap it to add colorless. You can pay 4. Mobilized District becomes a 3/3 citizen creature with vigilance until end of turn. It's still a land. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature and planeswalker you control.
I think this card is really busted. Other people do not seem as high on it as I do, but we're going into a standard where, what do we have in this format? Dominaria gave us like 1 million legends. Now we have War of the Spark with 1 million planeswalkers. It doesn't seem that hard to have at least like maybe 2 legends / planeswalkers on the battlefield. And if you're activating this for 2 mana, it's a really powerful creature land. If you get it down to 1 mana, it's basically a close to strictly better Mutavaul or Mishra's Factory, which are 2 really playable lands. Back to like Modern and Legacy, people are playing those cards. So I think, yeah, you gotta build around it a little bit. You can't just slot it into any random deck, because if you're paying 4, it does lose a lot of its appeal. But I feel like in the right shell, this is a very strong creature land.
Mm.
Oh, come on, guys. Come on.
Are we talking about Commander? Because I think it's great in Commander. Here's the thing. People can't even play Field of Ruin, right? The mana bases are being like stretched, too thin. So in another standard, I can see how this could be strong. But right now, if you're not even playing Field of Ruin, which I would argue is like way more important than trying to play this dirtily 3/3, would you play this? And also, like, a lot of the legendary things we have are not creatures, right? Like,
I guess that's true. Like Iskanda or Azur's Gateway or the
like
Immortal
the
Sun.
artifacts, the creatures. If this was historic or just legendary, it'd be a lot stronger. But I don't know. Like, let's say you have 1 or 2. Like, you're just paying 2 mana for 3/3. It's like Treetop Village. I mean, it's like
Treetop Village. You play that in your Jund deck, Richard. In Modern. In your
I
Jund
do.
deck.
But it makes colored mana. And I get really sad when I have Treetop Village in my opening hand and I can't Thoughtseizes. I don't know.
Maybe I just like this card because I'm way greedier than everyone else, and I still just jam a bunch of Field of Ruins in my 5-color decks and just trust that in the magic gods that it's going to work out.
Now you need to cut the Field of Ruins to put in Mobilized District. Are you willing to do that?
I have to, well, I guess now you have to play Field of Ruin to deal with your opponent's Mobilized District.
No,
so
you just play you play like 1 Wild Growth Walker and explore and you're good to go.
I think there's decks where this is good. Like, if you're playing Blue-White Super Friends, and you have Karns and Teferis and Tezzerets, and you're just stacking up, Wrath and Lyra and Shalai, there's a lot of options. And in a deck like that, I mean, this could even be free. Can you imagine this is just free to activate creature land? That's so insane.
I mean,
I don't know.
Let's think about this curve, though. the new Teferi. Turn 4, you start attacking with this. You know they can't kill it with a removal spell. I'm thinking real big here.
Yeah, I don't know about this free. If this was free, you probably have an active Teferi, like a Lyra or something, and like a Kaya, right? For this to be free. I don't know that this matters anymore if you have 4 legendary creatures and planeswalkers on the battlefield.
But,
right, I guess if someone has like pacifismed Lyra, and then you played Tulsa and they pacified that too.
When I ask if this card is good enough, I'm thinking like, is it still just good as a 4 mana 3/3 that dodges board wipes and stuff like that? So it you know, like, yeah, sure, it goes around a board wipe, which is why, you know, creature lands have always been pretty sweet, right? Gets around all the sorcery speed stuff. But it's obviously going into a 2-color deck, maybe even like a mono red deck or mono white deck or something like that.
Yeah.
So this way you have something after a board wipe. But it is a 4 mana 3/3 and like maybe that's good enough on its in like a really like just a mono color deck.
Well, mono red can never play this because of Chain Roller, but mono white could.
Yeah.
I wonder about modern. We've seen like these fringe decks that are trying to like
what?
Isumaru, Kytheon, Mox Amber, like play a ton of legendary into Thalia, and you could have this like beating down for 3 along with a bunch of dorks on like turn 2 for free.
I think I'm gonna take Raging Ravine. I don't know. I feel like I have like double fixing and it grows itself. Modern is a tough because you always have Beautiful, and no one randomly plays Beautiful.
Yeah, like
Beautiful, or you can play Ink Moth. I mean, it does, but Beautiful costs 1 mana to activate, right?
And it's like, everything.
Yeah,
which usually is relevant.
Which usually means it's a 3/3 Merfolk or something, right? Like usually, it's fine.
Or the 3rd fairy for their Spell Stutter Sprite or something like that.
Yeah. Krim may or may not have gotten me with that, but
Before we get to our next card, we have a sponsor today, and the sponsor of our show today is Audible. And Audible is where so many inspiring voices and compelling stories open listeners up to new experiences and ways of thinking, and now you can get more than ever before as an Audible member with 3 titles every month, 1 audiobook, and 2 Audible originals that you can't hear anyplace else, and they even have a super sweet app, a convenient app where you can access Audible anytime at the gym, commuting, on the go, and on any device. So I think Audible is pretty awesome. They have some really awesome books. One of my favorites on there is called Mistakes Were Made But Not By Me, and it's one of the easiest to understand breakdowns of cognitive dissonance. If you like psychology, it's really interesting. It really helps explain the way you think and why you think the way you think. So I don't know. I like that type of book. Psychology is a really interesting topic to me. So that would be my recommendation. But if you want to check out Audible, you can start listening with a 30-day free trial and get your first audiobook plus 2 Audible originals for free by visiting audible.com/MTGGoldfish or texting MTGGoldfish to 500-500. That's audible.com/MTGGoldfish or text MTGGoldfish to 500-500. So thanks to Audible for supporting the show today. And let's talk some more spoilers.
I have to check that out. Mistakes were made, but not by me. The motto of like every Magic player.
Yeah, I was going to say. No, there's no way. I never misplay.
All right, back to spoilers. All right, here's where we get into more experimental territory. Death Sprout. 1 black green instant. Destroy target creature. Search your library for a basic land and put it on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. It's like a removal and a ramp spell at the same time. Would you ever play this?
I like that. I oddly like that. I don't know. I mean, maybe some Temur Sultai Reclamation can use this to like ramp itself up in standard and also keep itself alive, right?
I like it. I think the question is, would you ever play this over like Vraska's Contempt or something? Maybe like if you can, I think it depends on the composition of your deck. The best thing you can do with this is like kill something on turn 4 and then play Carnage Tyrant or like Big Vraska on turn 5. That actually seems like a pretty big swing. So I think maybe if you have like enough good 6-drops, this is in the conversation. But I think for like your average deck, you probably would still just play Vraska Contempt.
But you get things like what's the 2-mana spell I already forgot? The blue-green one that lets you draw a card, play a land.
Growth Spiral.
Yeah, there we go. Growth Spiral. Yeah, this could be earlier than turn 4, right? This could be turn 3. You'll already have 4 mana, and then you go up even farther ahead on the land race. I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool.
You know, this would be perfect in the old Wolf Run decks where you pretty much just need to stay alive, get to 6 mana, and you win. Like, no matter what happens, as long as you have that 6-drop, you win. So it depends if we have like a strong ramp deck. The one problem I do see is if you're playing this against Esper, like you're pretty screwed. Like if this was destroy up to 1 target creature, I think it would actually get a lot better. You like 4 mana ramp, sure, why not, right? But it's just literally a dead card, and you're gonna have to find a target to kill. But against everyone else, I think if you can ramp up into something like I don't know, if we had like an Ugin in the format that board wiped, like you could ramp into that or something. I think there's potential.
Statue, just saying.
I do appreciate that it doesn't say your opponent controls, so you can do the Path to Exile trick and like kill one of your own guys if you really need your land drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the art is gorgeous.
You could kill Rolex and double proliferate. Yes. Got him.
Not only did I proliferate twice, I got a land.
All right. Next up, we have Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin. 2 and a red, legendary creature goblin, 1/2. When Krenko attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power.
So, obviously it's a Goblin Tribal card. Okay, it's a Goblin Tribal card. It feels like it could be powerful. The problem is, if you're playing Goblins, you already have Legion Warboss, and you already have Goblin Chain Whirler. I feel like this might just not be as good as those two options, even in Goblin Tribal. Maybe if you're playing, like, some sort of very aggressive, like, Cavalcade of Calamity, care about 1 power creature type of goblin deck, this could be better than Chain Whirler. But I feel like this is a powerful card that is just, until rotation, like the 3rd best option for a red 3-drop in most decks.
I would play it if it were a 2-drop.
But so strong as a 2-drop.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, exactly like what Seth said. There's just too many good things at the 3 slot, and I don't know what other deck would really want this.
All right, step aside, filthy casual Richard coming here
sorry,
now.
sorry.
Imagine. So, I mean, it's not that bad. Or is it? I don't know. It's a 3 mana.
It's bad.
It attacks as a 2/3, and it makes 2 1/1s, right? So that's basically a Siege Rhino, right? That's 4/5 in power. But
I don't know. Okay.
what if you Collision Colossus or Giant Growth Krenko before combat, and you dodge the removal? Does it die to cast down? Right?
You're on
You
a
get so many
Collision
zombies.
Colossus train today, dude.
Maybe Jund Death Shadow in Modern.
I think something's gonna happen here.
Become immense.
That'd be pretty sweet.
It is cool that you can use pump spells like that.
Okay,
That
here's the
is-
problem.
That is sweet.
You do that, your opponent's like chump block, Goblin Chain Whirler, kill all your goblins. Massacre Girl comes in and has a field day. But I don't know. I think there's potential for something here. You make a lot of 1/1s.
I mean, I think we're also just to the point in Standard where Standard is really big, and we're going to have rotation. A lot of the competing cards are going to be rotating, so I feel like a lot of the cards that I'm kind of mint on right now, it's not that they're bad. I think they're decent cards, but they're cards that I am looking forward to reevaluating after rotation, when there's less competition for all these slots.
All right. This is my Haunt of Hightower of the set, Seth. A couple months down the line, there's going to be a crazy goblin deck.
I'll be tweeting
with
about how
Krenko.
awesome Krenko is. And
Yeah. People are like, oh, can you imagine I had like 30 tokens on turn 4? Like, how is this possible?
We're gonna lose to it on Commander Clash, and
Oh, you definitely will lose to the Commander. Commander, I think, is really strong. I think even as commander or as part of the 99, can you imagine this with like a Xenagos or something? Like, oh, you just get so many.
Well, initially, isn't that just 2 power?
Well, no, but Xenagos will like pump it to like 4.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it keeps, all right.
Okay.
All right. What if I had it? What if I had a coat of arms out or something, right? Like, oh,
yeah, coat of arms is insane.
This thing would be like a 10-10.
Everything good though.
Shared animosity, super sweet with this and Goblin Tribal and Commander. So there are some sweet tricks with this card.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Sauron, Vengeful Bloodlord. Sauron is a rare, 2 white and a black, so 4 CMC, 4 starting loyalty. As it's your turn, creatures and planeswalkers you control have lifelink. +2, Sauron deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. -X, return target creature with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a vampire in addition to its other types.
This reminds me of a Johnny. It reminds me of the 4-mana Johnny in Standard a little bit. With the reanimation, I don't know if it's as good as that, but I like Sauron. I like the idea of playing it in an aristocrat style deck where you can keep getting back cheap things to sacrifice multiple times with the -X. That seems really powerful. Lifelink on your turn kind of suggests some sort of aggro deck where you're attacking. You could play it in vampires. I don't know if vampires actually would want this or not. Maybe it would want it. I don't know. What do you guys think on this one?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I know this is a little too strong, but I kind of wish his like passive was like a +1/+0 or something.
Yeah, the thing that required like emblems in the past
pretty much
would just be
the
his
old
passive.
Sauron. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be pretty cool. Like the -X is big, and the fact that he Sauron +2s is pretty sweet. That I like that it can go up to 6 counters immediately on turn 4, just like Karn and stuff like that. And the -X, I don't know. We'll see what kind of decks come out of those colors for it to really matter. It could be good if we can find, like, 'cause I mean, if it's just a reanimation spell, that's pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, just being able to reanimate anything for like at the 3, like maybe Mardu, grab back a Judith or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, 4-mana reanimation isn't that bad in Standard, even if it's like slightly restricted by not getting big things right away.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird. Like his +2 doesn't ping creatures, so his +2s just like ping your face or a planeswalker. And it's really going to come down to that minus. But a 4-drop is pretty good. At minimum, you're just replacing Sauron for another 4-drop that's like dead that you've played in your deck. So assuming you'd want it again, right? So, you know, it's decent.
Yeah. You could just like keep getting back Ornithopter every turn. Like to jump block.
Precisely what I wanted to be doing with Sauron.
We've broken it.
We've done it. All right. Last card. We have Storov Devraken Lich. 1 black, green. Legendary creature. Zombie elf wizard. 5/4. Trample. When Storov deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, return to your hand target creature or planeswalker card in your graveyard that wasn't put there this combat.
It doesn't do anything right away. That's my concern. There's like
are you saying it dies to Doomblade?
Does not die to Doomblade.
Yeah, it dies to Doomblade, quote unquote. But the problem is we have like Golgari Finebroker, which is like same slot in the same deck that doesn't die to Doomblade because you get a permanent back right away. You don't have to untap and attack and get through blockers. It feels powerful, but I'm guessing it's not going to see much play. Maybe it could see like one of play. The stats aren't bad, but I don't know. The fact that you have to play it, pass the turn, hope that it lives, and then even after that, you still have to like get through your opponents. If they have a Doom Whisperer, like this just never does anything. I don't know. When you have Hostage Shakers and Chupacabras and so many things fighting for that 4-drop slot, are you really going to play this over any of those cards?
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm right there with you. For 4 mana, it comes down and like it just usually just dies or something to like a Chupacabra. Even then, I just want more utility out of my 4-drop anyways. So I'd rather just play something like a Chupacabra or a Hostage Taker.
Yeah. on a side note, I think we've said this about most of the cards where we're like, it's pretty strong, but not strong enough for standard, but will pretty much wreck your face in limited. So this is a really high powered limited environment, but you can imagine Storov on the battlefield, 2 attacks and like the game is over. So it's going to be pretty interesting. There seem to be a lot of bomby cards and maybe they all just cancel each other out. Who knows? But limited will be interesting. Cards are really strong, especially at the lower rarities.
And everyone's guaranteed like Planeswalkers, which limited is going to be really insane with this set. It's going to be very unique and I'm definitely excited to try it.
Yeah. Very nervous.
Yes, you need to master this. Wait, you're playing? Are you playing War? Yeah, you're gonna have to master this immediately.
You don't even really get to master it though, because the set releases like after the Pro Tour, right? This is like a pre-release Pro Tour.
I guess so. I mean, like the thing is, it just looks. For me, it is a pre-release Pro Tour, I guess, and it's just how do you play with so many Planeswalkers? like how does the format shape out? What archetypes? Because before it's like, well, Planeswalkers, snap, keep that in my deck, right? Like, I guess you could treat them as enchantments. That's a thing, but, the set is like, I've been trying to evaluate all the cards and how to play them in limited, and they all seem just like bombs, and that's it.
I mean, I guess the good news is everyone has the same is in the same situation, essentially, since no one can really play it. I guess you just have to play like 24 hours a day the couple days before the Pro Tour once it's out on like Arena and Magic Online. Just play as much as possible.
Guess so, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some interesting cards, so I gotta figure out this set.
So that's all our spoilers we're going to talk about. You can check them on their website. We have a new short URL, mtgpreviews.com. And you can check out all the latest spoilers or wait until next week on the podcast.
Yes, we'll definitely fill you in next week with whatever spoilers come out, and daily spoiler videos go up on the YouTube channel during spoiler season. So you can check those out if you don't want to wait until next week. So we're going to jump into fish mail really quickly. But before we do, one brief excursion into another topic, which is it kind of was discovered, I guess you would say, yesterday, I believe, that a few months ago, almost a year ago now, Wizards filed for copyright protection along with Netflix for something related to Magic the Gathering. A Magic the Gathering short form show, seasons 1 and 2, a series. So this just kind of trickled out, and it's mostly funny because we were talking based on the trailer for War of the Spark that we talked about last week, how maybe Wizards could actually make a really cool like Netflix show. And now it seems like Wizards might be thinking along the same line. So did you guys see this document that was discovered, and what do you make of it?
Oh, I saw the document. I don't understand it. And there's nothing flashy. It's like literally like, you know, a Word doc with some stuff on it.
It looks like more like Notepad, like just like...
Yeah. I don't think we know anything, right? We just know that there's something happening, but there's no actual details, right?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, there's no real details. And I would urge caution. We had the MTG movie thing a few years ago, which was kind of hyped, and we were all like, yeah, they're doing this and talking about it, and it never happened. So I don't think that this document, like, guarantees there'll be an MTG show on Netflix in the near future, but it does kind of confirm that Wizards is at least thinking and moving that direction. So who knows how long it'll take or if they'll actually get there, but even that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So what do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be one of these, like, dark and gritty adult series, or do you think it's going to be like Saturday morning cartoon geared towards kids?
I think it'd be like that show, like Dragon Prince. I don't know. It's got a little bit like more along. Okay, well, like Avatar, the Airbender show.
Okay, so for kids.
Yeah.
Well, wait, is Avatar not for kids? Have I insulted lots of people?
I don't know. I guess technically it's for kids, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like a kid's show. It's like written to where it's like, it's written well enough to where it's like an all ages show.
So like Rick and Morty, something like that?
Well, no. Rick and Morty, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not showing that to like my 4-year-old child, right? Like,
yeah, I'm expecting it to be kid friendly at least. I don't know if it'll be for kids or like for all ages, but I don't expect like I don't know, some over-the-top humor and swearing and whatever. Like, I expect that it'll be appropriate for all ages. Hopefully it's written well enough that it's actually interesting for older people, because really, like, even though Magic is a kid's game, quote unquote, most of the players are like, I don't know, upper teens through their 20s and 30s. So hopefully that they know that's their audience and don't make it like, I don't know, some little kids cartoon, but
I think it's going to be a little kids cartoon. So their audience is like us, right? We're like older, we work or whatever. We grew, like, we know about Magic from the 90s. They already got that demographic locked down. What they need is like the 10-year-olds to stop playing Fortnite or whatever and to like play Magic, right? So I think they're actually going to go after that demographic, right? So that's a way to, you're just randomly watching Netflix. You see Magic the Gathering, you watch it. You're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, there's a card game. And then you go play it. So I would think they're using it to get new players as opposed to, if you wanted to go after the existing market, it'd probably be a more serious kind of, like the Marvel series or something on Netflix, right? Like those are meant not for kids, but for adults, right? Or if you want the kids shows, then you go cartoony. So I think they're going to try to get this new generation of kids that haven't played Magic. That's my guess.
That's a good point. You're right. Like I'm just thinking about like how, like, okay, what is the art style then, right? Like they give you this cartoony...
Remember Veiler's Reach? Exactly that. Gideon comes in with 4 arms the size of the entire screen, and he's like, Nicol Bolas, your days are numbered.
All the Planeswalkers are in high school, and
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, like, that's because then, like, if you take that art, like, obviously I'm kidding about the high school thing, but maybe that's a story arc. Who knows? And then you go and look at the Magic art. It's like, whoa, this is way more visual, if you would. Like, imagine like a kid going and like watching the show that's like super cartoony art and then finds like the ultimate price promo. Like dudes just holding like someone's head in a bag, and like, you know what I mean? Like, oh.
That's a good point. I don't know what they're going to do about that. I mean, you could go the opposite. You could be cartoon, but like for adults, and just be like super, I don't know, like visceral and things with the art, and make it super dark.
Gritty filming, like where it looks like there's grain on the screen all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the Netflix update. While we still have a few minutes left in our cast, let's hit up some fish mail. We've been a little inconsistent with special episodes and stuff the last couple weeks, so I really want to make sure we answer some questions this week. So, Richard, take us away. Fish mail time.
All right. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. Dan Iskander. With Phoenix and Dredge being so much of modern metagame, will playing more exile removal like Path and Settle, or is it too slow against those decks? Should we be looking at more white decks to fight off the meta? Krim, do you play Settle the Wreckage?
Do you know, like, my deck? Because if you do, you would see that I play 2 of them. I have absolutely enjoyed, like, had a blast. Because no one really, like, it's a known thing now, right? I mean, I played Settle the Wreckage. I'm going to be a Settle the Wreckage hipster a little bit here. Like, whatever you want to call it, right? But I've been playing it before it was popular. No, like, I've been playing for a while, right? And still, to this day, no, like, even though it's known, not many people play around it. You're seeing now a lot of people playing things like Nile Spellbomb as like 3 of to like 4 of in the main deck. You're seeing, like control decks like blue-white just dropping the Snapcaster plan, playing maybe 1 or 2, and then just like playing Rest in Peace in the main. So Exile right now is just very, very popular. Detention Spheres and like you're seeing like Kalitas in the main out of like the mid-range decks, which I am a huge fan of. So I think Exile or whatever you can do to Exile right now is very important because that's just where Modern is. Between Phoenix, Dredge, and now it, like, we'll see with the Mulligan rule, but I assume there's going to be a lot of Dredge.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if you want to, like, go crazy, and like build your deck around those effects. But I think if you are, have a tiebreaker, like sometimes you see, decks play, like choosing between Anger the Gods and Slag Storm. If right now in the meta, you definitely want to choose Anger the Gods because of exiles, and the same with like Settle versus some other sweeper options. So I feel like it's kind of like the tiebreaker. So I don't think you just want to build like, oh, I'm like the 4 Settle, 4 Anger Gods deck. I don't know if that's a good plan, because there are so many different decks in the modern format. But if you're choosing between similar effects, the one that exiles is probably the right choice.
All right. Urza's Takeria. I can't remember if Seth and Richard have ever been friends on Commander Clash. Is it because Seth knows Richard better than to fall for his tricky tricks? Tomer and Krim fall for it every time.
I think I'm the one that's usually warning people about Richard's tricky
what
tricks.
I have no tricks. What are you talking about? All my cards are on the table. You can see my big dirtily beaters.
I feel like for some odd reason, I just never catch on to Richard's tricks, probably because they always somehow end up king making me, so I guess I don't really mind. But Seth,
that's not me, okay? That's not my misplay. That's just how it happened. RNG, okay?
Okay, all right, sure. I mean, yeah, I'll Venmo you later.
check your bank account.
No, like legitimately though, I always fall for Seth's. Oh, I don't know. I'm just sitting here, Seth just stays quiet while Tomer and I obliterate each other's boards and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, oh, well, what do you know? You lost a goblin game. Oh, come on.
Yes, I have learned from Richard actually with Commander that I used to just like say, oh, like, do I win this turn and stuff like that. But I've learned that the right strategy is just to like kind of sit back, look non-threatening, let everyone else fight it out, and then hopefully steal the game by surprise when everyone doesn't expect it. So I've definitely learned that from Richard and his tricks.
Oh, you missed Seth in his early days. It's like, oh, I think I win next turn. This is like during someone else's main phase, by the way. They're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just wheel your hand, strip mine you.
Oh, we better kill Seth then. Yep.
Oh, I think I've got it, guys.
Yeah, I need to stop falling for that. The whole, like, I mean, yeah, like good you don't announce it anymore, but now because you don't announce it, you're always just sitting there in the corner, drawing a million cards, never casting too many things, just enough to make it so that you're doing something, and I'm always suspicious, so got my eye on you, Seth.
All right, next up we have competitive non. Because Wizards loves printing alternate mana costs like Delve or Phyrexian mana, what if this power was used for good? Imagine your local FNM, but instead of playing 1 mana of red for Lightning Bolt, they had to do 10 push-ups.
Oh, so many people are playing Burn.
Have they done this in Silver Bordered?
A little bit.
Done this in
Like
Silver Bordered.
high fives and stuff like that. Yeah.
How about every time you minus Teferi?
Oh, dude. I would be so ripped if I. Maybe that might push me away from playing Teferi.
I think the question is how fast can you do 10 push-ups now? Because I don't think your matches are ever ending.
Get slow play if I don't, like, get a slow play warning if I don't do my push-ups fast enough.
Like, stop sandbagging the push-ups. That's only 6 to 10, man. Like, slow play.
Why is your back arch?
That would be fun. They should make some of that. Or,
No, they shouldn't.
Reminds me of the dexterity cards.
No, they shouldn't.
You know how in Magic, either you do it or you don't?
Yeah.
What if you brought, like, the other gaming elements where you could do it 50%? You, like, tap your mana, it's not tapped enough, it doesn't count.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine all the hands that would go flying up at like a Magic Fest, like, or a GP? Judge, my opponent actually didn't tap the full.
Yeah, you have 3/4 of a red mana in your mana pool. What do you want to do with it?
It's only 2 damage with Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. All right. Captain WoW 26. Since War of the Spark is centralized around Planeswalkers, if you were a Planeswalker, what would your colors and abilities be?
It would probably be like essentially Jace Bellerin.
Just literally Jace Bellerin.
Yeah, just draw cards. Everyone draws a card. Draw a card. Everyone draws a card. Yeah, that's about right.
I think for me, I mean, I know mine would be blue-black, right? Like I would be a blue-black Planeswalker. I just don't know what abilities I would have. And I don't know, Richard, you played me. I don't know, what would I have?
Well, I think you came up with the Baleful Strix fixed version or something, right?
Oh,
like you're
my
gonna
super
be like,
Strix.
you would be blue black. You would draw a card as one of your abilities. Your ultimate would probably be Rise of the Dark Realms, and then your minus would be create a 5/5 demon.
Yeah, there we go. A 5/5 demon, done.
What would I be? I think I'd be 5 color. My plus would make me a 50/50 token.
No. You would tutor through your deck. It would go look through your deck for a thespian stage. Minus put a strip mine from anyone's deck or graveyard into play on your side.
How hilarious would it be if your Planeswalker minused and became thespian stage, and you could like turn your Planeswalker into a land, and it's a strip mine.
Oh.
That would be hilarious.
And your alt would just be create an emblem that creates a Haunt of Hightower token every turn.
Oh, that would be so busted. Shakens. With Wizards opening the door for rare and uncommon walkers, do you see this becoming a thing in future sets?
No. I don't think so. I mean, maybe we'll see rare once in a while, but I don't think that we will normally see rare and uncommon Planeswalkers. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see them that often. But in the same way, like, we're not supposed to see, like, vehicles that often, we still do get, like, the random sprinkling of vehicles, like, one every couple sets. Do you think they'll ever just make random uncommon Planeswalkers? Or is that too breaking?
I think maybe we'll see, like, more War of the Sparklight sets in the future, where, like, that's the theme of the set, and they revisit it, but I don't think we'll just see random uncommon Planeswalker show up for no reason in a random set.
That would, like, obliterate some limited formats.
Here's the question. Robden Collins, is the Arena pre-order bundle for War of the Spark a good deal? And which new Planeswalker are you most excited about?
Ooh, this is actually a really good question.
All right, someone recap what the deal is.
Okay, so the deal is $50, and you get 40. Oh man, I'm gonna mess this up. 45? No, is it?
All right,
I should look this up.
I'm searching my email.
I'm not sure on the pack number if it's. It might be
it's 50 for
packs.
50. It's 50.
Okay, so $50, you get 50 packs.
A Liliana.
You get a Liliana Planeswalker, a set of sleeves, and a card style of Liliana, I believe. So technically, it depends on if you want the card style and the sleeves. You're essentially paying full price for the packs. The same amount that you would pay if you paid for the 45 packs for whatever amount of gems and got the buy a box promo. So the cost is the same. You get the card style and the sleeves for free. The other thing is, it depends on if you'd rather have Tezzeret or Liliana, basically. This gives you a chance to essentially get the same deal as the buy 45 pack deal that's always going on to get the buy a box promo, but get the Liliana Planeswalker instead of Tezzeret. So
wait,
I think
do you get
that's
Liliana, or do you just get her style?
You get her style. You get her.
Yeah.
You get a Liliana.
Oh,
Wait,
you also get a Lily?
I thought it was just a style.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right, I'm pretty
Oh
sure
boy.
you
Now
get
we
the
gotta
Liliana.
find the email.
Oh dear.
I'm pretty sure it's just the style.
I thought that was the whole selling point. If you don't get Liliana, then
You do.
Oh, you do.
50 booster packs, 1 Liliana Dread Hoard General, 1 Liliana Dread Hoard General card style, and a special sleeve.
So basically, you'll have the same deal available without the card style and sleeves, featuring Tezzeret once the set releases. So if you think you'll play Liliana more than Tezzeret, do this. If you think you'll play Tezzeret more than Liliana, wait and do that. Unless you really want the sleeves, then that's another push towards the pre-order. I guess the second question is, what Planeswalker would you guys choose? Like, if you had to choose, would you rather have Tezzeret or Liliana? I want Tezzeret. I think we talked about this before, and you both said Liliana, right?
Liliana.
Yep. Yeah, Liliana. She's great. I think that's a sweet card.
The art.
I mean, the passive ability. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. All right. So that's all our fish mail this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish on Twitter with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And I believe this brings us to the end of episode 219 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard Cribb, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to Audible for supporting the show. And thanks to everyone for listening. So, we'll be back next week, episode 220, talking more War of the Spark and whatever else is going on in the Magic world. Until then, have a wonderful week. And this is the crew signing out.